Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today I will be responding to one of the biggest, whiniest Manginas I think I've ever seen before in my entire life. I gotta thank YouTube user Feminism Is For Nobody for showing me that video, and putting this dipshit on my radar. But anyway, basically what I did is I went through the video, split it up, and put my little responses in via webcam. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's a bit long, but guys, enjoy.
It's all too familiar. Fault lines written by tongues bitten by silence. Thoughts formed we weren't searching for violence in our questions, our suggestions. It's all too familiar.
Okay, so what are you babbling about now?
What was she wearing?
Yes, talking about rape. I've never heard what she wearing used as a defense by any criminal. I've never heard anybody sit there and say, oh, she was wearing that, she deserved to get raped. So what the hell are you babbling about here, dude?
She walking alone?
Okay, so what is it? Are you implying that society somehow lets the rapist off the hook because the woman was walking home at night alone? Or are you implying that somebody shouldn't be doing the necessary things to prevent themselves from being a victim of a crime? I mean, think of it this way. A dude is walking alone at night in a dark alleyway. He gets mugged, shot, stabbed, What's the first question the police are going to ask him, assuming he survives? What do you think the first question his friends and family are going to ask him? They're going to be like, ooh, after everything's died down, dude, what the hell were you thinking? What were you doing out there at night alone? So why should it be any different with someone because they're a woman? Who gets raped? This is just common sense, dude. And you appear to lack it.
She shouldn't have drank so much.
Okay, so when was the last time a jury acquitted a rapist because the woman was too drunk? Oh, wait, I'm talking about real rape. You're talking about fake rape. Gotcha. Sorry to say, when two people go out to the bar or, hell, at a house party or, hell, just chilling out at home and they have a little too much to drink and they make a bad choice. At worst, it's a bad choice. It's not rape, dude. I mean, it may be two consenting adults using poor judgment, but it's not rape. And by the way, while we're at it, everybody is encouraged not to drink too much at the bar, Do you think a rapist gets off the hook? If you say, well, excuse my actions, Your Honor, I was very drunk that night. No. Do you think a murderer gets off the hook? Well, you have to forgive me and you really can't hold me responsible. I mean, I shot the dude when I was drunk. I stabbed the dude when I was drunk. What about a robber? What about a burglar? What about any crime you commit under the influence of alcohol? Do you think for 1 second that somebody gets off or gets a lighter sentence because they were inebriated when doing it? And while we're at it, what's the bit of advice that we're always given? If you've got good mentors in life, if you've got good friends in life, hey, man, when you go hit the town out, have as many as you can, tear that bar up. Or do you think they say, okay, you know what, dude, calm down. You've had a little too much, or, hey, dude, don't have so much to drink tonight, you don't get so tore up. I know when I was in the Army, every Friday at COB, First Sergeant will always say, hey guys, if you're going out to drink, have a plan. Don't get too drunk. You know, it'd usually be along those lines. Basically be a responsible fucking adult. Put it in layman's terms. So, are you telling me to expect a woman to be a responsible adult now is somehow rape apology or somehow endorsing rape culture? Give me a fucking break, dude.
Should have been more careful. She shouldn't have. She should have.
No. And while you're at it, we should probably stop teaching our kids to look both ways before they cross the road. I mean, because obviously, parents that do that are just perpetuating reckless driving culture, right? I mean, hell, a driver should be able to stop that car on a dime, when a kid runs out in the middle of the road. I don't care if it's the interstate. Those cars should be able to stop on a dime. That kid shouldn't have to worry about looking both ways. Seriously, what type of parents would teach their kids that lesson? So, why would you teach women that, hell, don't be careful in life? Just go out to as many random bars and parties as you can, walk down dark alleys late at night, drunk, wearing a skimpy skirt. Paint a target on on you, pretty much. Shoot, when you say stuff like this, and when I hear people say stuff like this, I'm like, gee, while we're at it, should we go to Saudi Arabian standards for how we treat women? Have a male escort for them at all time, either their brother or their father or their husband, or when their son comes of age, don't let them out the house without their son. Maybe we shouldn't, they shouldn't have that responsibility of vote. Well, they shouldn't have the right to vote because they obviously can't handle that responsibility is pretty much what you're saying. They shouldn't drive cars because, that's way too much responsibility for them from listening to you. Honestly, I mean, while we're at it, let's tell people that they shouldn't lock their doors anymore at night when they go to bed or when they leave for work in the morning. After all, you're promoting burglary when you lock your door. You're promoting burglar culture. Hell, while you're at it, you got a brand new vet. Let's drive that through the hood, top off, engine running. You leave that engine running in the key in the ignition while you're in the store, because to turn the car off, get out, put the hood up, roll up the windows, lock the door. You're just promoting thief culture, right? There's so many ways I can go with this, dude. To show you how stupid you fucking sound.
Like it was her fault.
Get real, dude. Just because you were told or society says, hey, there were actions, or not just society, individual people or law enforcement officers, etc., say, hey, there was stuff you could have done differently to change the outcome of your situation, and you didn't do it. Now, you're stupid for it. Not saying that that's your fault. No, that does not get a rapist off the hook. The police will still look for that rapist. The report will still be taken seriously. And once the rapist is caught, they will get all the evidence they can. They will send it up to the DA. The DA will then proceed with the court proceedings. And if there's enough evidence to convict, a jury of said rapist's peers will convict. Judge will hand down sentencing. And rape has some of the harshest sentencing in the U.S. Top that off, I mean, you get convicted of rape, your life is over. Not only are you a violent convicted felon, but you have to register as a sex offender. You don't have to register as a murderer after you get out of prison. You don't have to register as a thief after you get out of prison for thievery. However, if you're a rapist or have been convicted of any sexual related crimes, you have to register as a sex offender after you get out of prison. You know? And just because somebody tells you, hey, you know, why were you doing that? Why were you walking down that alley alone at night, drunk off your ass, is not implying that they're excusing that rapist of his responsibility. They're asking why you made such a stupid choice in life that, let's be honest, led up to that. You mean, you might not have directly been asking to get raped, but everyone knows you don't go down dark alleys alone, drunk off your ass at night. It is the best way to put it. Just like everyone knows you don't take your nice brand new car to the most crime-ridden neighborhood out there, leave the windows down, engine running, keys in the ignition, while you go into the store. It's kind of common sense.
Like gender violence isn't a man's issue. Like...
So you're telling me that some woman I don't know from Adam was raped by some dude that I don't know from Adam in some city that's not even in the state I live in, and it's somehow my issue? Give me a break, dude. Seriously. You know what? The only parties are involved are the victim, the relatives of the victim, the rapist, the relatives of the rapist, local law enforcement, and the local courts that are in that jurisdiction. Well, probably the state courts. Other than that, and as callous as it might sound, it's not my issue. It's not anyone else's issue. You know? Sorry. If you still disagree, well, guess what, dude? Where the fuck were you about a decade ago when my apartment was broken into? Where were you that night over a decade ago when I got jumped at a bar, got the ever-living shit kicked out of me by 3 dudes, and, all my cash and just about anything of value I had on me that night was stolen off me? Oh, wait. You're right. Violent crimes and property crimes against men don't count. Dumb motherfucker.
Men can't help themselves, like the responsibility for one's own actions doesn't...
Dude, are you projecting, jumping to false conclusions, or what? When has this... Name one court ruling where, a guy was convicted of rape, and the judge said, you know what, man, I know rape's a horrible crime and everything, but, we really can't just put this responsibility solely on you. So I'm sending your victim to prison with you. Name one case where that's happened. All right, guys. I don't know if any of y'all remember. Well, y'all should remember the Duke Lacrosse case. How badly were those guys' lives ruined? Over the mere accusation of a rape. I mean, they were expelled from school. They were ostracized. They were bashed in the mainstream media. I mean, their names were just dragged through the mud. And it turned out that was a bogus allegation. I mean, a provably bogus allegation. When it finally did come to light, a DA had to resign. And I think he did 1 day in jail for falsifying evidence. You know, you ask me, something like that, the dude, especially being a person of that power and having that responsibility, I think the dude should have faced the death penalty. I think he should have been swinging. Yeah, that's right, Nifong. I think you should have been hung for that. And Crystal Gale Magnum, the false accuser, didn't do a day in jail over her false allegation. Yet somehow society takes it as, well, men just can't help themselves. We really can't put that responsibility. I mean, rape's one of the most harshest punished crimes in this nation. And you're going to give me that BS. Here's one better, guys. You still don't believe me? Go tell some of your dude friends that this guy who raped a woman is coming to town, Hell. You think they're going to sit there and, see their reactions? Tell me if you ever hear one dude or one guy friend in your group sit there and say, well, honestly, I mean, he really couldn't help himself, man. I mean, come on. I know it was rape, but, who can hold somebody responsible for that, Fuck me. This is a level our society is sunk to.
Fall on one's own shoulders like men don't have the power to change how men act. And remember, as a young teen, learning the fact.
Wow. I guess you're implying that I'm somehow in control of some dude all the way across the country. Or I'm even in control of my friends. Let's put it this way. If you commit a rape, and again, as I say, I'm talking about real rape. I'm not talking about fake rape. The fake rape that the feminists call rape. I'm talking about real forcible rape. If you're going to go out and commit and act like that, there's nothing anybody can say or do to you that's going to change your mind. Except for put a bullet through your head. But if Johnny here is a rapist, he's like one of them hardcore, he's going to go out and forcibly rape a woman. If he's going to commit a crime so heinous, that's so stigmatized by society, his best buddy Jimmy here isn't going to be able to talk him down or talk him out of it. In fact, most of the time, his best buddy Jimmy isn't even going to know he's planning on doing that until he does it. Got any more stupid shit you want to say?
1 in 3. 1 in 3.
Really? 1 in 3? I remember distinctively hearing a while back it was 1 in 5. Now 1 in 4. Now it's 1 in 3? So, tell me, how'd you count rape victims this time? You say, well, have you ever had sex before? And if the answer was yes, it was rape? Shoot. And you wonder why nobody takes you seriously, dude. Out of all the people I've known, I could count on my hand how many women, made the claim or were actually raped that I've known. And this is including some claims I knew were fucking bogus, made by women who I knew and everyone else knew were fucking liars. Pathological liars at that. Hell, one of them was so arrogant in her pathological lying, she'd get pissed off when nobody believed her. And this isn't just on rape stories. I mean, I remember a few months back I read about an article of a woman finally getting jail time in the UK because she'd made like so many, she made in the double digits of false rape allegations. So, again, just because some study says it doesn't mean I necessarily believe it. You know, I shouldn't even call it a study. You know, it's a certain group of people who have an agenda, who cherry pick some data. Usually they have a non sequitur conclusion from that data, and they post it as a study. They market it as a study. Because if it sounds scientific, dumbasses like you will buy into it.
Made me sick. How could men like me do this?
So those men that raped the women were just like you? I can see why it's so easy for you to believe that all men are rapists. So you're pretty much projecting your, how do we put it, sexually coercive nature on other people, on other men. Yeah, that would be what psychologists call projection, dude. You probably need to seek help. Oh, and by the way, I now know why you believe those studies.
They couldn't. I thought they couldn't. They must be monsters. They must be monsters. Monsters in the masks of men. Monsters in the...
So you're saying that now all of a sudden that they're not like you. Well, what is it, dude? I mean, are they like you? Are they not like you? I hate to break it to you, dude, but there is a... You talk about all violent crimes committed by a small percentage of men. You know, well, the repeats anyway. You know, but the vast majority of all violent crimes are actually committed by a statistically small number of people. And it's just these people have their tendencies to do certain things that are illegal, and it's usually, when it comes to recidivism, the crimes are generally of similar nature. This is why when police are looking at a suspect with a criminal record of a crime that's of a different nature, they can look and see, well, okay, you know what? We know this person commits X type of crimes. This crime over here doesn't fit that profile. You know? Human beings are creatures of habit, dude. Sorry. You know, or they can sit there and say, okay, you know, well, this person got out of prison for this types of crimes here, and now this very similar type of crime has been committed in the area he's residing in at the very same time, well, shortly after he's been released. You know, let's go look him up. He's a suspect. You see, that's how that works.
Masks of men rearranged their faces until I can no longer see myself in them. Monsters. And I remember going to a park.
You know what, dude? People are different. A fraction of people commit crimes. That's just reality. You know what? And just because someone shares the same gender as a criminal doesn't make them guilty by association. Or if you do believe in that, I guess all women now chop men's penises off and throw them in the garbage disposal. You know, the funny thing is that actually happened. There have been, it started off with Lorena Bobbitt, you know, chopping her husband's dick off. And then there were some copycats. And you know what? I don't recall a hashtag Women Let's Talk campaign on that one. In fact, whenever women do tend to get violent, and believe me, there are a lot of violent women. Hate to break it to you. There are a lot of violent women. A lot of the time, society looks the other way when it's a woman committing violence. You know, that's pretty evident. I mean, all you've got to do is go on the internet and look at reactions to woman physically abusing boyfriend or husband versus reactions to man physically abusing girlfriend or woman or wife. Hell, look at some of the reactions to man defending himself from abusive girlfriend videos. Sorry, dude. Reality is just not a concept you're very good with.
Party in East Vancouver and seeing a patch on my friend's jacket that said, "Stop Rape." The message so clear, so inarguably simple, and yet it left a bad taste because it jarred me from...
Yeah. So simple, so clear, right? You know, I tell you what, I like to fly like Superman. So simple, so clear. Yet the laws of physics get in the way of that. Sorry, dude. Again, reality just isn't your strong point, is it now?
my place of comfort, because it reminded me of the reality we all face.
You know, I've noticed you sound like a pretty hypersensitive guy, dude. Well, was your mother raped or your sister raped or something? Hell, maybe that's why you believe that fucking all women get raped and all men are rapists, right? You see, straw men's work both ways, dude. Two can play that game. Actually, I'm kind of wondering if I did straw man you or if I just summed your argument up. Shoot. But seriously, dude, you are being hypersensitive on the issue. Children die in Africa all the time. You don't see me or you even doing an infomercial on that. Does that mean that's because we're a bunch of uncaring assholes that just don't give a damn and really we're contributing to that? Or is it just the problem's not on our priority list because it's not there with us? I mean, you know, you can find 1,001 battles to fight. You know, you can find, you know, it's hard enough in life to pick out the battles to fight without just going out and fighting every single battle. Because you can fight 1,000 battles in life, you know. I mean, you can find 1,000 battles to fight. But then again, at the end of the day, this isn't about a real battle, is it? This is about you and your little feminist friends wanting to stop an imaginary problem. I mean, that's just a simple fact of the matter.
And that initial reaction, my initial reaction, was me choosing silence, therefore allowing for violence, and that was a clear case of the culture of rape.
Okay, dude, so why do you like children starving to death in Africa? You know, I mean, shoot. Why are you so in favor of that, dude? I mean, no, you're not backing out of this one. You're not backing out of this one. You've stayed silent on that for way too long. Therefore, you're perpetuating this starvation culture they have in Africa.
And I remember in the dressing room cheering along as a teammate proclaimed that in victory we had raped the other team. Or in
Yeah, I remember those jokes too. You know, when you beat the other team so damn bad, the only thing you could say about it is that team just straight up raped them. I fail to see how this is connected to some woman getting raped in a back alleyway while she's drunk, though.
the lunchroom when my boss made a sexist joke and I said nothing.
Oh my God, we have to call the police, man. Your boss, he committed a horrible crime. It was like he bent the secretary over and just raped her right there, wasn't it? Sorry, dude. I take the South Park theory on humor. It's either all okay to joke about or none of it is. Sorry, you don't get to carve out special topics to where, you know, you can't joke about. Unless, of course, that joke actually is something like pulling a pulling a fire alarm in a crowded building where there's no fire. That goes beyond just simply telling a joke. It goes beyond a simple joke because real people actually get hurt. Because your boss made a, quote, sexist joke in the break room doesn't, lead to the secretary getting bent over against her will.
Or yesterday, when I pulled on an article of clothing and referred to it as a wife beater.
Oh my God, you thought criminal. Somebody call the thought police real quick. No? Hadn't read 1984?
This culture of violence touches us all. And by dismissing perpetrators as monsters, it allows us not to analyze our own actions. Men, take your masks off.
Wow, dude. What dope have you been smoking? Or were you dropping LSD or some shit like that? Words are now violent. Thoughts are now the same as physical violence. What the fuck, dude? Jokes are physical violence now? Yeah. And somehow telling them means a woman's gonna get raped? Good Lord. You know what? Not only do I think you're retarded, you belong in a mental institute. You've got some serious delusions here.
Men, take responsibility.
And exactly how am I responsible?
Men, open your mouths wider. Show more than your teeth.
Well, gee, I would open my mouth wider, but the problem is people like you block me on Twitter. And top that off, you disable your comments on YouTube. So, what do you expect? How do you expect me to open my mouth wider to tell you to shut the fuck up, you retarded, hypersensitive, delusional moron, when you won't even listen to have your comments open and you block me? Hell, even if you did come across this video, you'd probably flag it. So, why should I open my mouth wider? When you're not listening.
There was a softness in your throat waiting to be freed. Men, there was a softness in your throat waiting to be freed. Men.
Oh, dude, don't tell me you just blew someone.
We are responsible for the vast majority of violence. Men.
Well, you want to put it that way. You shoot, look at who the vast majority of victims of violence are. It's men, by the way. By the way, who gets more likely to be held accountable in a court of law for their violence? That's right, men.
Men, it's an epidemic. Men, don't think that it has to be this way.
It's an epidemic! No, dude, it's not an epidemic. Shoot. In fact, the world we live in today is a hell of a lot more comfortable and a little less violent than the worlds we've lived in previous generations. Hate to break it to you, dude. And actually, even in generations before us that weren't quite so violent, a lot of other natural ways to die, or a lot of other ways to die, aside from just violence. A lot of other problems you had aside from violence. So, I hate to break it to you, dude, but we're not in an epidemic level of violence. You want to see an epidemic level of violence, go to Ciudad Juarez.
Men, if you could make the world safer for the women you love, for all women, children, and men, wouldn't you?
You see, the thing is that we do have many people working to make the world a safer place for everybody. Many in law enforcement. You got the armed services. You got even a lot of civilian sheepdog. They do their damnedest to make the world a better place and a less violent place. What you're talking about here is a utopian fallacy. And moreover, you're talking about making several non-crimes into crimes. Which, what do you think that's going to do to the workload of law enforcement? Moreover, what do you think happens to the workload of law enforcement when they have to deal with a bunch of fucking false rape allegations or a bunch of false DV allegations? I mean, you got to prioritize here. Which is the worst crime? The crime of maybe raising your voice to to your spouse or significant other, or the actual crime of beating her senseless. And in fact, while we're at it, isn't it just as much of a crime when a woman beats her spouse or significant other, or hits her spouse or significant other with stuff? Just saying, because feminists don't want to seem to talk about that part of it.
Men, you can.
Oh, yeah, I mean, sure, we can, but why would we join on your little white knighting agenda over BS? Has it occurred to you that maybe we have bigger problems or bigger issues to tackle than just a simple sexist joke or simple language that offends you?
Men, we need you to be courageous, to speak up and to be more than a bystander. Men, put your masks down.
Yeah, I mean, where to even start with this? Calling a wife beater t-shirt a wife beater t-shirt, that's all of a sudden an issue now? Shoot. That's your big problem? Oh, a male co-worker telling a joke that's sexist now? That's your big issue? Man, I wish I had your life. That's the worst of your problems? You think that takes courage? Fuck, man. You don't know what real adversity is. Shoot. You know what? Wow. I'm just... The level of patheticness. Shit.
Men, let's look each other in the eye.
Looking you in the eye right now, dude.
Men, let's talk.
Let's talk about what? Because taken from your video, you thinking of a t-shirt as a wife beater t-shirt is somehow evidence that we need your thought policing? Fuck you. I like living in a free society. I prefer a free society over your Orwellian society. Let's see. Your boss tells a joke at work that offends you or may offend somebody. Really? That's your big problem? Sorry, dude. I don't think we should be making exceptions with humor. And I damn sure don't think we should be putting a guy in jail because he and the woman he slept with were a little tipsy the night and they showed some pretty bad judgment. Which, that's all it is just, at worst, it's having sex while using pretty bad judgment, you know? And that just doesn't classify as rape. But do you see the doublethink you have to come to, that you have to use to come to this conclusion? This woman who had a few drinks, who was a little tipsy, you know, can't control herself anymore. You know, even though she says she wants it, and you know, and all of her body language and evidence shows she wants it. Well, she's drunk and can't control herself and can't take responsibility. But that very same dude who probably had more to drink is all of a sudden needs to man up, take responsibility, and just go to jail and just be treated like a rapist. You know, fuck you on your double think and your fucking hypocrisy, dude. You whiny little bitch. You know? But you know what? I just might check out of the site out of morbid curiosity. You know, just to see what your issues are. I might decide to make a video just tearing that site to bits. You know? But man, you know what? Here's who you should really be pissed off at, dude. You know, and here's where I think men need to talk. Raising their sons to be whiny little bitches like you. I mean, dude, how many times you get your ass kicked in school? That's a serious question. I bet you got your ass kicked every fucking day. Shoot, man. This video's running way too long. I gotta let her go.